Sorry about that, guys. Holy shit.
Why don't you just turn the music off?
I just did. Well, on there I did. Is it good now? Can you hear us perfectly fine? Yeah, I don't understand why that was so loud. That made no fucking sense. And I also have 2 music things in here.
Let's get on my fucking mouth.
Okay. So if you can hear in the background, somebody 2 houses down from us are having a what appears to be a birthday party of some kind, and they are doing very bad karaoke. So I don't know if you can hear that bleeding through it all, but definitely there, definitely there. Oof. Come on, focus. There you go. Stay. There we go. Oh, nope. Doesn't want to. Why is it doesn't want? Okay. There it is. Wait. The focus is just being really fucking weird right now. For some reason, guys. I am so sorry for that. It just completely just keeps unfocusing. It is struggling to get my face. You see that?
Yeah.
It just keeps. What is going on with the camera?
Okay.
Is it good now?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I was just having a hard time. Anyway, so because it's been a while since we've consistently done the show, we're planning on keeping things pretty regular from this point forward. So we figured the next 10 episodes are going to be kind of like a deep dive into what we are, what we do, why we do it, stuff like that, right? So I'm going to pull up some notes, okay? What we're going to start with. So the title of today's episode, as you guys can probably see, is An Unlikely Alignment, right? So when we think of occultists, when we think of occultism, usually people don't immediately think of traditionalist family values. They don't think of, just kind of like the traditionalist, kind of like a traditional lifestyle, right? Nuclear family. And sadly, disagreeing with a lot of things currently on the left. And this is coming from 2 people that were very heavily on the left.
I would say heavily.
I mean,
it was never a fucking communist.
Well, I mean, we're talking like, 10 years ago, right? Like,
yeah, it still wasn't a commie though. Like,
okay, well, I mean, I'm not saying that far left. Like, I'm not saying far left. I'm just saying left. I would say
literally just said like far left.
No, I said pretty heavily left.
Pretty heavily left, yeah.
Not far left. So I view it as being different, but okay. So, and so I think to start out, right, the biggest differential for us, I think, spiritually, that our spirituality has actually influenced our point of view in life, right? So a lot of people, their politics kind of points them into a spiritual direction. And when people think conservative, they think Christian, which is kind of sad. And so the thing here is, it was our spirituality that actually kind of pushed us the direction that we went, and away from, leftist thinking. And what the reason it did that, actually, how about you? Yeah, I think you're pretty good at explaining this. So do you want to explain how it is that our spirituality, being on the left-hand path, kind of pushed us into kind of like a, a conservative mindset?
No, because I'm going to say something offensive.
You think so?
Mm-hmm. With the mood I'm in,
With the mood you're in?
yeah. Because, like, the way I'm thinking it in my head right now is like, yeah, part of it is, like, a spiritual thing, but, like, if you, like, if an ideology just becomes, like, more and more retarded, then inevitably you're going to lean further right. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I guess that it's kind of like a generalized way of putting it. I would say that kind of like,
that's how I'd summarize it. Like, it's not even, like, necessarily about leftism anymore. It's just about flat out retarded.
behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that.
And, like, not supporting the really fucking dumb shit that's happening at the moment.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. I mean, the way that I think I would break it down, though, the way that I would say it is, you know, the biggest differential that I have felt between being left-hand path and the left is I personally feel that currently the left is very anti-left-hand path. It doesn't fit with the left-hand path. It just doesn't. The left-hand path is about self-empowerment. It's about accountability, personal accountability, personal responsibility, being responsible for yourself. And unfortunately, a lot of people on the left it's just a lot of, you know, like being a victim, like living in a victim mentality, always feeling victimized, always blaming other people for shit, never looking at yourself, never actually looking at what you can do to change things, right? And then that's kind of like what really kind of has pushed us in that direction, right? Right. So what we're looking at here, though, is what I think is good points to kind of discuss, right? And how these things interchange and kind of, you know, so Maria Panaloza, what's up? Hail. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, right? So discipline, hierarchy, family, right? And nation can coexist being an LHP occultist, right? So let's start with discipline. Okay. So discipline is, right, keeping yourself responsible for what you do and what you don't do. When you're an occultist, especially on the left-hand path, discipline in the practice is extremely important. Discipline in your life is extremely important, right? You want to talk about discipline, right? This woman here, right, trained for months for bodybuilding, right? To the point of hallucinating. And I have nothing but respect, for the struggle and the fight that she went through, to, get to the point of where she was, achieving that goal, right? Regardless of the outcome, and that's a story for you to tell, not for me to tell. But, the work that was put in required a shit ton of discipline, doing things that you didn't want to do because you had to do them, because you knew that you had to do them. Being an occultist is the same thing, right? Like, you don't always want to go into ritual, but when you make a commitment, you kind of have to, right? You have to do it. There's work involved in it. Being in a successful relationship, being in a relationship that functions, that works, is discipline, right? It's not always a bed of roses. It's not always super easy. It's not always super fun, right? Sometimes, sometimes she wants to smack me in the back of the fucking head. Thankfully, she hasn't gotten to the point of actually doing it. And again, that's discipline, right? Choices. Everything you do in your life comes down to disciplining yourself to doing these things, right? If you want to achieve something, and having the accountability of saying that if you don't achieve something, chances are there was something you could have done differently or something you could have done better to get you over that finish line, right? So, uh, Lucifer, someone is speaking out about her contradictions. I just watched her vid on. You mean Melinda the Mystic Witch? Supposedly meaning of spirit of Anton LaVey. Yeah, I saw that one. I saw that one. That was that was an interesting one. Um, but next one, hierarchy. How would you go about explaining hierarchy, like in a value setting? Like I suppose the family dynamic, the nuclear family, there's hierarchy, right? And then how would you explain that hierarchy translating over into left-hand path and demonology?
I don't know. I don't know if it does.
But why would it be relevant though? I suppose, like the hierarchy. So the way that I kind of look at it, right? Hierarchy is kind of like when you look at like certain positioning in something, right? So if you look at the Goetia has a hierarchy, right? Family dynamics have a hierarchy. Uh, Government, politics, society, everything has a hierarchy to it, right? Everything has a top, goes from top to bottom, right? And so respecting that hierarchy, and how that hierarchy works, right, is key to a lot of the things that we do, right? Like when you work, if, for example, if you're going to work the Goetia, you're probably not going to jump in and start working with some of the most difficult demons to work with. You're going to kind of start smaller and kind of work your way up the ladder, right? Up the food chain, right? You don't, I mean, I guess some people might just kind of dive head first, right? But, you
I
know,
mean, the hierarchy's not really formatted like that, though. It doesn't go like, most challenging to least challenging in terms of like how it's ranked. It's more so like there are spirits within each rank that could be challenging in ways. But I suppose challenging again is kind of like a subjective thing. Like,
yeah.
what does like the demon bring out in you that you find challenging to deal with? Like, why is working with Belial challenging? Why is he notoriously challenging?
And he is. He is.
Mm.
Like, I think I would like to think that I did a pretty elaborate ritual. And
But then again, like, Belial's not the most challenging. I feel like I'm like asking to be challenged by saying that, but I've had I've had other experiences with demons such as Larage that have been kind of sucked.
yeah, definitely. 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 That makes sense. Right. So, getting into the talking points here, right? So, why spiritual rebellion does not equal moral chaos? So, I think that this is a good starting point here. So, when a lot of people think about the left-hand path, they very correctly think that the left-hand path is a path of rebellion. It's an adversarial path. Hence the name of the show, which is right there. Right there. Adversary, right? It's a very adversarial path. Very much so. Uh, one of the main entities that I work with is Lucifer, right? And in his triptych form, there is Lucifer, Samael, and Satan being the adversary. And, one thing that I've learned in my path, Curse, welcome. One thing I've learned in my path with Lucifer and working with the satanic aspect, the Satan aspect, rebellion does not equate to moral chaos. It does not mean sacrificing morality. And
Also doesn't mean like rebellion without a cause either. It's just like
uh,
people just want to be rebellious, to be edgy, and be like have something to be pissed off about. But like rebellion isn't like you can essentially rebel against yourself and you know the parts of you that hold yourself back, and it's not just about like, oh, let's rebel against like, you know, the Christian ideals, like boring, you know, that that's been done for a long time, and it's we have more religious freedom than ever now. It's kind of like
we
done
do.
like,
I mean, some to be fair, some Christians are still jackasses.
well, yeah, but like that's different. Like they have no power over you, so why it's not rebelling unless like it's something that has power over you. Like, you know, it's like me rebelling against. I don't know. I was about to say something a bit too personal. Also, it's like it's like me rebelling against like a friend that I've like fallen out with, but like there's no power imbalance there. You can only rebel when you're trying to restore a balance. You're trying to empower yourself. If you're rebelling over something as stupid as that, it's not true rebellion. It's got no like higher purpose to it at all. There's no evolution of the self there. You're just being trying to be fucking edgy.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest like the one of the biggest things that
irritates. Is that Harmonica in there?
Yeah.
Can I have some, please?
Yeah.
Fucking obsessed with this drink since like what, like 2 days ago, since you like
yeah, I made
it. Like yeah. The shit. And you're also meant to like limit it whilst you're pregnant, and I'm really struggling to do that. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not like I'm drinking fucking vodka, but like still I'm just like, I'm probably shouldn't be drinking as much as I am of this stuff, but I'm sure it's fine. It's literally a fucking flower at the end of the day.
Yeah, so yeah, it's in Spanish is agua de Jamaica, right? Asmodeus recently, and it's quite interesting. I mean, that's cool. That's awesome. I think one of the biggest things that irritates me in the left-hand path is just people that feel like that they need to act a certain way to make themselves feel adversarial, right? Like, I would say it's kind of like the Satanists, like the atheistic Satanists that'll sit there and tell you that there's no such thing as theistic Satanism. Theistic Satanism doesn't exist, that all forms of Satanism are atheistic. And they're essentially becoming satanic Christians, satanic Catholics. Where?
Look at the cat.
Oh, yeah.
You look cute.
Yeah, he's stretching out. They go way too overboard. Yeah. Like people go overboard with the whole adversarial thing. It's like, yes, rebellion and being adversarial is definitely a part of the left-hand path, but it doesn't mean completely ignoring morality, right?
Take for example, right, the most recent kind of attacks that have happened relating to Israel, right, from the Free Palestine movement. You know, not actually against like what they think they're against, which is they think they're against the Israeli government, but like just killing random Israelis, like out on the street, right?
Yeah, that's just disgusting.
Like, and they think that like it's such like a virtuous, like righteous thing that they're doing and rebelling against, you know, this whatever, like they think they're fucking rebelling against. And yeah, plus the anti-Semitism, exactly. And it's like, it's just so embarrassing to see and so sad as well for, you know, just because like I know for me, right, if I was Jewish right now, and not in this country. Like in Mexico, I don't think anyone gives a shit about Palestine over here. Like they've got their own problems. So
Yeah,
like,
no,
yeah, do you know what? We can't get our needs met either. So yeah, in Mexico you don't see it. But like if I was like, I don't know, maybe in the US in a particularly like liberal area and I was Jewish, I'd be scared.
Yeah.
Like for my life.
Yeah, of course.
And that's not fucking fair. So that's an example of like rebellion going like overboard because you think that you're being some kind of like fucking anti-hero and
yeah, no,
you know, embodying this like, you know, really adversarial thing, and it's just fuck, man.
Yeah. And it's like my take on shit like that, like with the Ukraine and Russia, Palestine and Israel, Pakistan and India, like my take is and always has been, I don't give a shit. I really don't. Do I want them to stop fighting? Yes. Yes, I don't like seeing people killing other people. I don't like it, like on any level. But I'm not going to choose a side.
To choose a side as well with this is like, it seems really almost ignorant because it's partly because it's like virtue signaling. Because the thing is like, you know, what's going on in Palestine. You've also got what's going on in Sudan, what's going on in Yemen, what's like going on in Syria, and basically just the fucking shit show that is the Middle East. That's how you know something's virtue signaling, when it's like magnified onto one fucking issue, which isn't the worst issue out of all of them, at least not like numerically. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just ignorant at that point, because it's like, who the fuck are you to know all the ins and outs of it? Like, what makes you such a fucking expert?
And Curse, that is a very good point right there, right? So I know nothing of Israel and Palestine that have been fighting before I was born. Yeah, they have been fighting for what, hundreds of years? Right? You know, so it's just kind of like, I just don't care. Like, it's not that I don't care that people are dying. Of course I care about that, but I know that there's nothing that I can say or do that's going to stop it from happening. And the thing is the only way to stabilize the region is to stop the conflict.
Do you know what really annoys me? And it's a phrase that I hear like leftists say a lot. It's like, first they came for this group, and I didn't say anything because I wasn't part of this group. And then they came for this group, and then they came for this group, and then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. It's like, what fucking power do you think you have? What, your little voice on its own was going to prevent all of those people? Like, shut the fuck up, you fucking martyr. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. No, and here's the thing, right?
Fucking white savior complex.
So the thing that kind of started me moving away from as and I want to preface this, right? All of this is for me is directly connected to being left-hand path, right? And being a black magician. So the thing that started to kind of raise red flags for me in with the left was when they started to try to control how we talked. You can say this, you can't say that, you can't have an opinion on this, right? If you're this, you can't talk about that. If you're that, you shouldn't have an opinion on this. And for me, like, I kind of stopped and I was like, wait. Like the whole reason, like I considered myself, you know, a liberal years ago, right? Because we championed for free speech. Like, we fought against the Christian right from trying to shut art and music down and defended free speech.
Mhm.
We defended the right for human beings to have a fucking opinion and express those opinions.
I fucking remember that as well, and that was good. That was a good time. Like,
was.
I remember like the whole like you had to like fight to be like not shat on as a goth, and like
Yeah.
you know, like the whole leave me be, let me be, like I'm not hurting you, and
Yeah.
but like we never like tried to control anyone's speech. We just wanted to be left the fuck alone to just like live.
Yeah, you can have an opinion on anything. And look, and I'm not sitting here saying I do not believe that freedom of speech equates freedom of consequence. I do not believe that. I do believe that there are consequences if you're a dumbass. If you're an asshole and you have an asshole opinion, that asshole opinion is going to have consequences to it.
Mm-hmm.
I fully believe in that, whether those be social consequences or otherwise. I never believe that they should be governmental consequences, though. Like this is a big thing. This is a big thing. This is the thing that I harp on the UK a lot about. And I can talk shit about you now because I don't fucking live there anymore. Stommer, you putz, right? You look like Mr. fucking Magoo. That's what you look like. But anyway, I don't think you'll ever fucking see this, but
I don't know, they probably got like fucking filters on or something that like little alarms.
Right, yeah, probably. And I'm not a citizen. You can't fucking pull me back. Yeah,
Pull me back though, so I've still got to buy out.
Right, and I'll watch. We'll go over there and be like, yeah, you can't come in. Because some shit you said online.
Yeah.
But it's one of the things I harp on the UK about is because people have been arrested for expressing opinions online. Like a lot of people have been arrested for expressing opinions online over there. A lot. And I love it when people try to fight with me online and saying, oh, yeah, you UK, we've got freedom of speech. No, you fucking don't.
You absolutely don't.
No, you don't. If you were being arrested, if the government is literally stepping in and pressing charges against you for saying something on Facebook, you don't have freedom of speech, right? Now, if you say something stupid on Facebook, do I think the government should be able to arrest you? No, I don't. Do I think the people connected to you should give you a swift kick in the ass? Yes. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? I think that's fair.
I think at the end of the day as well, like I don't think like when it comes to what do you think when it comes to free speech on social media? Because I think this is like a slightly blurred line, right? At the end of the day, when you use social media, there are terms and conditions, and you accept those when you make an account. So where does it cross the line when you start being censored? Is it a violation of terms and conditions? Like, are you being hateful or are you expressing an opinion?
See,
because I was about to say, you know, instead of the government or the police arresting you, that the social media platform just like has authority over it. But then again, that could be considered as an implication of freedom of speech, depending on what it is.
It can be a joke as well. Yeah, exactly.
Do you know, like, right, I don't know why this has come back to me now when my head has been perfectly free of it for like probably the last almost 15 years, and I've just been completely re-traumatized. Why the fuck are people getting arrested now for posting something on Facebook about like, I don't know, like immigration or something like that? But when I was 13, there were videos of like bestiality like on my feed, like
yeah
on Facebook, you know, like I just remember that doing the rounds at school once, and it was just the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why was that allowed, and why was that okay? Like, how did that like slip through? And like people's nudes used to get leaked on Facebook as well at school. Like,
Yeah, but I think that's because they had like less like control over the platform, is more
Yeah, obviously, but yeah.
right. So I mean, well,
Change. Moving on.
no, I mean it's relevant, right?
Yeah.
But so to answer your question,
Oh, yeah, the guy that taught his dog at Nazi saloon got arrested. Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, but that's like teaching your kid like to like.
Well, the thing was, so the irony in that,
It's not like he turned his dog into a Nazi, was
yeah,
it?
well,
It's not like his dog suddenly like.
well, the irony in that was the thing was is that like his girlfriend thought that dog was the cutest thing in the world, right? She was thought it was the most adorable thing in the world. And he said, well, what's the one thing that I could teach? What's the most disgusting thing I could teach this dog to do? Right? That she finds so cute.
Mm,
They would teach it to do a fucking Nazi salute.
mm.
And he did. And I thought it was fucking hilarious. I thought that shit was funny as fuck. Because as soon as he said the words, the dog just went, "Mrrr." Like, I'm like, dude, that is fucking meme gold right there. And here's the thing. Here's the thing. He got arrested. He got arrested for doing that, right? How many memes have been making the rounds after the whole Elon Musk fiasco, right? With everybody saying that he was doing a Nazi salute. How many memes have started just kind of flying all over the place of this cat with like a Hitler mustache lifting its paw, and then an actual speech of Adolf's playing in the background, right? That's fine. But some dude,
Yeah, the fucking pro-Palestinians are loving it.
like, I mean, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. This is my big thing. Double standards.
Mm-hmm.
Double standards. The left currently, in my opinion, are very unstable, inconsistent, and that was more of a conversation on censorship, was it not? Yes, it was. And when it comes to like yeah, that's right. Let me answer your question. ADHD, guys, ADHD. So you asked me about censorship online. It's a tough one because here's the thing. Technically speaking, platforms like X, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're private companies, right? And a private company has every right to dictate what it is they want or don't want on their platform, right? It isn't like a public space like the park or something where people are having conversations, right? I mean, I know that that's the vibe that they're kind of going for with stuff like Threads and Twitter or X, or I think Blue Sky's another one now, and there's Gab AI, which is just horrible. But I know that they want it to be like the whole Twitter concept is like a town square kind of thing, right? Yeah, exactly. They are hypocrites most of the time. Like they don't realize that, like, they say one thing for one thing, but then immediately change that over for something else because it's different but very similar. Like, I don't know. And they're very specific examples, but I don't want to get into those tonight. But as far as the censorship thing, do I think it is censorship when you allow one opinion and shut down another one? Yes, I do. I do believe it is censorship. But the problem is it's not governmental censorship. The government isn't like coming in and taking down your post, right? So is it infringing on your First Amendment right? Yes and no. Right? Because you do have freedom of speech. And even though like something like Facebook or Threads or X are supposed to be kind of like these open air communities where people can have conversations without limitation, it's still a business, and that business is still, you know, still has shareholders and still has, like you said, a terms and conditions, right? Things that you agree to, you know, that you agree not to do, not to say, right? The problem is most of these platforms, especially YouTube is infamous for this one, right? Sorry, YouTube. We love you. But not being very fucking clear what the rules are, right? When you use terminology in your terms and conditions like hate speech, the thing is hate speech has really become extremely subjective, right?
I think I called someone a bully on TikTok once, and my comment got removed for hate speech.
Right?
Like,
oh, here. So earlier today, I actually posted a comment on a video on TikTok, and within a few seconds, it got removed. Right? So let me. Where is this? Is it? I guess system notifications. Right? So I don't see what is wrong with this comment.
this is mental illness, not knowing who you are to this level. And here is the thing: people find it that offensive. There's nothing wrong with being mentally ill. The problem is the denial and the perpetuation of it. What was that under?
I don't think I can actually go to the video.
No, it's so funny though, because sometimes you send me things on TikTok and you'll like write a message with it, and it might be something like, oh, what the fuck, fucking idiot, or whatever. And TikTok will literally blur out the message and ask me if I want to see it. And it's like, what do you think I'm going to do? Like, hurt myself after I read it?
Well, and that's another thing too, is like, this is another thing that's very anti-LHP, right? Is
being afraid of words.
Yeah, the cuckolding, right? The fucking cuckolding that these platforms do, right? Because people can't deal with anything anymore, right? They have no accountability of their own emotions, and this is where the accountability comes in, right? I might say something that's going to offend you. You might say something that's going to offend me. It's not my problem and it's not your problem. If I'm offended by something you say, that's not your fucking problem. If you're offended by something I say, that's not my problem. You're the one that's offended. If you say something that offends me, it's not your problem. I'm the one that's offended. They're my emotions, right? If I'm having a bad day, right? And she happens to say something that triggers something because I'm having a bad day, that's not her problem. It's mine. Emotional intelligence requires you, it is a requirement of emotional intelligence to be able to understand and respond appropriately to your own fucking emotions. If you can't do that, you need help. And there's nothing wrong with needing help. There's nothing wrong with needing assistance externally from yourself to understand why you're feeling the way you feel, right? And to better be able to manage those emotions in an appropriate way for your own betterment. There's nothing wrong with that.
I think after the whole like rebellion doesn't mean moral chaos. I'd like to dedicate a little bit of time to talk about the A word.
The voluntary ejection of human matter?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you're gonna go. I am going to open the stage to Ms. Dyra Dade. It has a ring to it.
It does.
It almost kind of sounds like a very high class burlesque kind of name kind of thing.
Yeah, that's not happening. So abortion is something we talk about a lot.
Mhm.
I think we've talked about it a lot more since I've been pregnant, because I think that I don't think necessarily our stances have changed on abortion since I've been pregnant. I think we just feel more strongly about it,
Yeah.
and therefore more emotionally affected by certain attitudes towards it. I don't think it's as simple as defining oneself as pro-life or pro-choice. I don't believe that people who say they are pro-choice are genuinely pro-choice. I think they are only pro-choice when a woman makes a choice that they are in agreement with and that fits their agenda. Because when a woman decides to keep a baby that's come from incest or rape, they seem to have a real problem with it, despite it being about the woman's choice. So there's that, and I also don't believe that pro-lifers are necessarily pro-life either.
I agree.
So I don't think it's as simple as defining oneself in that. And at the end of the day, we can only make decisions for ourselves. And I think legislating abortion is a very, very complicated matter. There's been some crazy shit going on in the UK at the moment in terms of abortion. Apparently, most women didn't know that it's only legal to get an abortion up to 24 weeks. And they're like, oh my God, I can't believe abortion's still illegal in the UK. It's just like, you do know there's a difference between legal and illegal. It irritates me so much how no one seems to know their own legal system. Like, you know, like Americans were like, oh my God, Trump's going to take away abortion rights. It's like, Trump isn't even pro-life. And he literally said he is leaving it up to the states. So this is the thing. This is a thing that irritates me, right? People aren't genuinely about what they say they're about. They are rebelling against things. I don't think that people are pro-choice necessarily because they care about women's choices as much as they say they do. I think that it's a rebellion thing. I think they hate conservatives. And I think that they just want to be right. Like, that's what I genuinely think that. Because there's just some of this shit that people come out with, like, oh, there's no difference between an abortion and a miscarriage. And I'm like, how fucking dare you?
Yeah.
How absolutely fucking dare you? And the fact that, like, you know, the Satanic Temple, like, support this, like, stupid, like, fucking celebration of abortion and whatever. And I'm like, what a weird fucking thing to celebrate. What a weird thing to celebrate. Like, because even if, like, say you genuinely don't care about, like, babies, about kids, right? And you have no regard for anything while it's inside the womb. Abortion on a woman's body is a physically and emotionally traumatic thing, and it is not to be celebrated. Any woman that has to go through an abortion, it's a tragedy, because it's never going to be a good thing, no matter how much you try and dress it up in pink and women's rights and women's liberation and have a picture of a fucking vagina on it. It's never going to be a good thing. It's always going to be a tragedy. And this is, like, I just find it morally apprehensible how people will be so pro-abortion purely for the fact because they think it's some act of rebellion against some kind of, like, patriarchy or something. And this idea that, like, you know, a woman having kids is oppressed because she has kids, and she has a shit miserable life because she has kids. And it's like, the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
anyone viewing in, like, my position right now would think that, like, I'm fucking oppressed because I'm pregnant, like, you know, like, oh, she's, like, breeding, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a sad thing when how do I break this down? The way that I've always been is you do your thing as long as your thing doesn't affect my thing. Now, when it comes to abortion is a slippery slope. It's a tricky conversation. In my opinion, and I know there's people out there that think that I shouldn't have an opinion on this, but hey, guess what? I do. Deal with it. Right, exactly. In my opinion, I think generally speaking, an abortion up to the first 6 weeks is acceptable. After that, there was a video that she showed me. You know,
yeah, anyone wants to look it up, it's called The Silent Scream.
Yeah. Like,
prepare yourself if it's like,
yeah.
Especially if you've like been through like abortion or miscarriage.
So
it's
like
not nice.
Yeah. So she showed me this video, and it's just I don't know how to explain it. I don't. It really concreted my opinion on it. Yeah, it's just fucked. You know, I think like the video shows like the baby at that point was like 12, 13 weeks or something. And so, and I'm aware that there are situations, there are things that happen, right? There are one-off situations, there are nuanced situations, there are specific special circumstances, right? That you know, happen. And you know, those need special care, those situations. But also at the end of the day, a lot of these situations don't even happen enough to have statistical information to tell you how often per capita it actually happens.
Yeah, take the situation in Georgia right now where this woman's being kept on life support because, I mean, she's brain dead. She could be taken off life support, but she is pregnant. So legally in that state they can't. And everyone's losing their fucking mind about it, blaming it on Roe v. Wade when situations like that happened like 10 years ago, well, before Roe v. Wade was like overturned. And, you know, it's just like, this is why, like, you know, we're pro-choice. And it's just like, what, you're pro-choice purely for these like really rare, the rarest of rare situations.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, the whole thing with the person in Georgia, I don't know 100% how I feel about it. Like, I really don't. Like, there's a part of me, it's like, all right, the woman wanted to be pregnant. The woman's almost like her dying wish was to have the baby kind of thing, right? But then there's the side of it where it's like, I mean, but really, what is the likelihood of this child's going to have, like, you know, a fulfilling life, right? Because they're talking about like the likelihood of like when the child comes to term and survives, you know, they're going to have a lot of developmental issues. And so I don't know. I don't know. Right. I can't say that I agree with her being on life support just because she has a baby, and I can't say that I disagree with it. I just don't know.
People in the States said they bought them out. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that literally today. I saw a screenshot of a tweet saying that like someone was like, "Oh, I need to find out if I'm having a girl or an abortion." And I was like, "Well, the very fact that like your gender scan isn't until you're at least 18 weeks is like sick as fuck."
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's halfway through your pregnancy.
Yeah. And yeah, and the thing is after watching the video, The Silent Scream, I can't morally stand by the idea of an abortion past 6 weeks outside of medical necessity. And the thing is there's always caveats, right? Like I don't agree with the right where they're saying like no abortions at all. right? No, I don't know.
I just
No.
don't think like that's a realistic thing, because the thing is, if you go like far on both sides, both of them are aiming for like their idea of like a fucking utopia. And this is where centrism comes in, and it's like, okay, where's like the middle ground here? Because that is just the way that the world has to work. It has to work on a middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just like complete fucking chaos, right? So it's like, okay, you know, for example, here in Mexico, in most states in Mexico, you're allowed an abortion up to 12 weeks. I think that is better than what we have in the UK, which is up to 24 weeks. And I think I think what we have in the UK is a lot better than some states in the US that allow you to have a full-term abortion, which is just like, I cannot even fucking fathom that.
That's an interesting take. I'm trying to put that one together in my head.
In my personal opinion, abortion is no different than female genital mutilation. In what sense?
Thinking like a moral, that would be a moral sense. That would have to be moral. Like it's definitely not physical.
I mean, it kind of mutilates you from the inside, depending on what method you use. That it leaves scar tissue, especially if you have like the pill abortion. Like from what I've heard, that
well, see,
scar tissue.
So I know of three different types of abortion depending on where you're at, right? I know that there's the medically induced abortion, which you take pills and that happens, right? It aborts the fetus. I know of the vacuum abortion.
That's the silent scream one, which is just no.
And then I think past that point, what they
considered a surgical.
Yeah, they actually go in with snips and cut the baby into pieces and then pull out the pieces.
Yeah.
And like the thing is here's the thing, like if you watch the silent scream, which is a vacuum abortion, right, and you see the reaction of the fetus, like how the fetus moves, how the baby moves, stuff like that, you can't tell me that that's just a clump of cells. I'm sorry, you can't fucking tell me that that's just a clump of cells. That is a tiny human screaming, right?
Or trying to scream.
Trying to scream, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, hence the silent scream. And here's the thing. So if there's a visible emotional response at 13 weeks.
I don't think it's emotional though. It's survival. I mean, I suppose it's emotional in the sense that like it's fear, right? Because it's like a baby like has basic survival instincts. Like it knows it knows fear.
Yeah.
So, and you know that fetus in the womb biologically is wired to be like, this is where I stay until it's time. This is where it's safe. This is where I grow. This is where I get fed. This is where I sleep. It knows when it's ready to come out.
And here's the thing with the surgical one, right? When they cut the baby into pieces, what they say that they do, like if you look it up, they try their best to cut the head off first.
No.
There's a reason they try to cut the head off first. Because you cut the head off first, it doesn't feel any of the rest of it. So, I'm sorry, but it's fucking barbaric. That is barbaric. You people, the left want to sit there and say that not allowing abortions up until 9 months is barbaric. Fuck you. That's what I'm. For people out there, you watch this video, you want to unsubscribe to me, you want to unfollow me on fucking everything, go for it. If you believe that abortion up to 9 months outside of an extreme medical emergency should be allowed across the board, fuck you and go to hell. Fuck you. You are a disgusting, despicable human being. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. Now I'm trying to, I want to keep the middle ground, right? I don't think that abortion should be completely banned. I don't think it should be, right? But I also do not believe that it should go up all the way to 9 months, and all these stupid little fucking micro fucking reasons that you guys fucking come up with as a fucking excuse of why it should happen. These one-off situations that are between 0 to 4% of the time are not enough reason to make it legal for a full 9-month, full-term baby abortion across the board, outside of those medical reasons.
Yeah, and what Cass just said, like, if the baby's almost due, adoption is available. And yeah, the left will argue against that and be like, well, you know, most kids that end up in the system are, you know, usually abused or like...
But you want to fucking kill it.
It's just like, what, so it should just die then? Like...
Exactly, Curse. Abortion is not the only option. And here's the thing.
It's just like, what, so you... It would, by that logic, you would... It would make sense to kill every underprivileged child on the planet. Like, it's such, like, there is no logic in it. It's so dumb. And what was the other thing as well? Like, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, a hard truth that people don't want to accept is that if women were more educated in abortion about what actually happens when you have an abortion, what you go through when you have an abortion, if they were more educated on fetal development and things like that, nowhere near as many women that have abortions would have abortions. The reason abortion is such an available and sometimes appealing option is because it's a lack of education.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, and here's the thing. So the whole point of this podcast, this isn't going to be what we talk about all the time. And to be completely honest, the political side of things is we're probably rarely ever going to touch on the political side of things on a regular basis.
Yeah. The point of like the whole like emphasis on morals and
yes, exactly. The emphasis on morals, morality.
Like how it's not about rebelling against like Christian values, because the thing is, like, we sit here and talk about abortion, and a pro-life Christian will probably agree with the majority of what we're saying. That doesn't mean that like we're not left-hand paths because we're not rebelling against a Christian. Like, that's what we're trying to point out.
Exactly. That's the idea that we're trying to point out. And a lot of this is going to be kind of like how what we want this podcast to be is more of kind of like a walkthrough of how us as traditionalists, as centerists, as people with a moral compass, as people, you know, that are, you know, slightly conservative or rather conservative, and have traditional family values, how you can apply, you know, traditional family values to your growing family, whether you're just in a relationship, whether or not you're starting your first family, or you're just curious to kind of see how the process goes.
Oh, just what Kerr said, then we should make it better. Like, I'm assuming you're talking about the system. This is what I mean by pro-life conservatives, right? Pro-life conservatives, as if there's like pro-choice conservatives, not really. This is what I mean by pro-lifers, right? And like how you know, I don't think they're as pro-life as they say they are, because it's like, yeah, they give a fuck about abortion, but when it comes to like the system, granted that Christians are statistically the group of people that adopt the most. However, I'm talking more like a federal level, government level, where Republican say like state level Republicans, right, who are pro-life, should actively make an effort in their own state to improve the alternative options to abortion, and not just be like, no, like, can't have one, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and so the thing is like, this is where I say we're kind of centrist, right? Is because we're kind of standing in the middle here, because, you know, a pro-lifer is going to disagree with any abortion, A pro-choicer is going to disagree with the limitations. But at the end of the day, society doesn't succeed and grow off of extremes. It just doesn't. It never has. It never will. There needs to be a conversation in the middle. That conversation just needs to happen. It needs to exist. But you know, to kind of reemphasize what it is that we're trying to do with this podcast is, we know you're out there. You conservative occultists, you. We know you're out there. We know that there's a lot of you out there. We know that there's a lot of you that feel like you don't have a voice out there, that you feel certain ways about certain things, and the people in your circles are not aligning with your particular brand of morals, even though they align with you spiritually, and you end up feeling trapped. Dyer and I have gotten very lucky in the fact that both of us are occultists, both of us are LHP occultists, and both of us have very traditional values when it comes to family, when it comes to raising children, when it comes to just simple rules like no phones at the table, right? Appropriate bedtimes, limitations on electronics,
No iPad kids.
not having kids watch certain things until a certain age, right? Like age appropriate content. Right? Just because I'm a metalhead and I'm left-hand path, it doesn't mean I'm gonna let my kid watch a Cradle of Filth music video. I'm not gonna. I probably wouldn't let my kid watch a Marilyn Manson music video. I'd let them listen to the music but not watch the video.
Thank you, Cass. We like you too. Anyway, we really need to end this because, like, I am very much dying to go to the toilet.
Gotcha.
Because I've drunk so much Jamaica.
Yeah, that's a thing. All right, yeah. So we have gone over, guys. Thank you so much for coming here and hanging out. I know that this show is probably going to end up alienating some people, and I'm sorry that it does that. But we'll hope to see you again.
It's
And,
fine. Goodbye.
yeah, and as always, hail thy fucking self. We'll see you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.